Welcome to another episode of the APL Spotlight Series. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights, amazing experiences, and much more. Sometimes skills, intuitive skills. Actually, quite often it's the case. They're here to share what they can share, their experiences, their insights to help us all on our individual life paths, our unique life paths. And usually they're sharing a lot of love and high vibe. That'll be the case in just a second as I get to an intro from someone who's coming back to us. They've been on the main show of the APL show, or Angels, Positivity, and Love, although it hasn't quite come out yet. I think it's June of 2025. I'm just excited to see her again and have her back on. But before I do that, we've just recently gotten approved in that whole affiliate associate program with Amazon. If you go to our suggested reading page and you purchase incense, a book, or anything like that, we get a tiny little commission off the sale. So if you want to support the channel, absolutely do an emoji here, put a few words in a comment, share, subscribe, like, and so on. Or go and peruse at the website and pick out a favorite book. I say the incense sticks, but if you want to know my secret hint, for 10 plus years, I've been buying those IKEA Glimma 100 pack white incense candles, tea lights. They are the best. And so I can heartily recommend those. Okay, back to the show and being serious here. I've got Leanne Venier, who's got just an incredible resume. She's an inventor, artist extraordinaire, super intuitive, Eastern medicine physician, and much more. I learned of her, I'm going to say around 2010 or so through South by Southwest. And I was reaching out back then, but we didn't connect until I'd say about a year ago. And it has just been wonderful to interact with her. Leanne, great to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Happy to be here again.
And I think the way an eagle flies, we're only like probably 50 miles away or something like that. You're here in Central Texas as well, more closer to Austin. I'm closer to San Antonio.
Yeah. I'm an hour east of Austin. So to get to you, it's kind of like, yeah, there's a shorter way to get to San Antonio from here.
I love it. Look, you shared so much in the last taping, which again, it should come out, or I think it's around episode 207 in June of 2025. You shared Italian experiences, your art, experiences with the universe, and just much more. What's been going on lately that you want to start with? And what do you think? Everybody's on the same journey, but everyone's experiencing it
Mhm.
differently. What would you like to start with here?
Well, one of the things that came to me that I wanted to share, because since the last time you and I spoke, I talked about the fact that I get downloads, I get information like audible information. Sometimes I hear it in my head, but other times it's actually I hear a distinct voice. I've had that for as long as I can remember, and I learned to start listening to it at a very early age. What I've never really done is ask questions. I usually just kind of put out not a question, but a more of like what I want to manifest or things like that. And then I get downloads that guide me. I'm not very good about asking for help with things, so I usually just get given help when I need it. It's like whoever gives me the help, I still don't know. But so through the process of, the last time you and I spoke and you said just ask questions, ask for this, ask for that. And I'm kind of getting a little bit better at doing that, but it's more motivated when I really need something. And that happened just a few weeks ago. I really needed help. Um, and I have 9 dogs, and I have an 80-acre ranch, and my dogs run around my ranch, and but it's mostly wooded and forested. It's not like completely cleared like a lot of cattle ranches are. So there's a huge amount of forest. I've personally gotten lost on my property multiple times. So I know it better now. But anyway, one of my dogs was off, exploring, and then she didn't come back. And she's my little one. I have dogs that are mostly like 35 to 95 pounds, and she's my little one. She's only 17 pounds. She's a super sweet bundle of energy and life, and her name is Aurora. And she disappeared. This was like around 4 o'clock on a day. She came and checked in, and then I didn't see her again. She didn't come back, and which is very unusual. So I'm thinking, well, she doesn't have like a leash on that she could have got tangled up. Her collar wouldn't really get caught on things. She had a tracker and a e-collar that I use for beeping the dogs when I make a sound. If I want to call them, I just beep and then they come. They're very well trained for that. And she wasn't, she showed up on the tracker like on the next ranch over. That was the last time I could see her, but the tracker doesn't work under trees. So anytime, most of the time, I've got two trackers and it's on two dogs. But with her, I'm like, I want to always know where she is. But anytime they're under the trees, the tracker doesn't work because it's GPS. So I have no idea where they are. But when they come out under in a clearing, if it happens to ping right then I see, oh, that's where they were. So that's how I knew that she was in the creek, which delineates my property, goes all the way down along the side of my property. And then there's other ranches that the creek is separating. So my dogs will go and run in the creek. So where she wasn't even on my property, it was on my next door neighbor who I know. And anyway, when she didn't come back, I started off searching for her. I went there first, no sign of her, and I'm ringing her. She's got a little bell on her collar, because the e-collar, and I keep hitting the button, but it's not very loud. I mean, I can hear it if she's I don't know, 50 feet away from me and there's no trees or anything. But it's not that loud, so I have to be pretty close to be able to hear it. It does have good range. It will pick up, the signal, but if I'm not close enough, I can't hear it. So anyway, I'm searching. I'm like this. I started around 5 o'clock that day searching for her. I searched for her all night. I brought two of my dogs with me because they're sensitive. If they heard or smelled her, we're looking everywhere. I'm, traipsing around in the dark with a flashlight, calling her and hitting the little bell thing. Can't find her. And so I go to bed that night super late, get up first thing in the morning, and I'm like, I'm going to walk through the whole creek, because it happened one other time. One of my dogs, when he was little, 6 months old, he fell in the creek, and the creek was like up to here at that time. And so I'm going to get in the creek where she went, where the last place that she pinged. And I'm going to walk the whole creek all the way back to my property, which is like miles. And so I did that, got up the next morning, got, dressed, went, and it was a gorgeous day. It was beautiful. And being in the creek, I mean, and it was anywhere from knee high to thigh high, that day. And, I get in, and it's hard to get in the creek because it's like 20 feet in down below. Like, I mean, that it's anywhere from 15 to 20. It's like really deep. And the walls of the creek, because it does fill up sometimes, the walls of the creek are vertical, and there's nothing in the creek except, nature. It's beautiful, and waterfalls, and so I climbed down into the creek. And I've got my phone in a waterproof case. I've got a backup battery. So if my battery starts to get low, then I've got a backup, that I can plug in. And I've got everything I think that I need. And I get into the creek and I start walking, and it's like, it's deep enough and it's uneven. It's not like super smooth, like there's rocks and there's, and I start walking, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be falling over every 10 feet because it's so hard to walk. I should have brought a walking stick. And I'm like, oh my God, now I'm gonna have to climb out. Because I look around, there's no trees or fallen trees or branches or anything that I can get where I am. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to climb out of the creek again. And in some areas it can be next to impossible. I mean, one time when I was rescuing this dog, and I went into the creek because I found him, and he was like hanging on for dear life onto a branch. And I just jumped in, Ugg boots and all, and it was up to here on me. And I managed to get him, and then kind of get him high enough to a point that he could kind of scramble up the rest of the way. And then I couldn't get out of the creek. And this was at night. This was a couple of years ago. But anyway, so that's how hard it is to get in and out of this creek. It's not just like, walk down, a little slope and then you're in. So I'm like, oh, I should have brought a walking stick or something. And I don't even have one, but I could have, found a branch. So I'm like, I'm going to ask for help, which I don't do. So I said, can I please have a walking stick? Whoever is listening to me. And I had already looked around. There was like nothing that I could use in the creek. I'd have to get out because there's tons of trees on either side. So I take one step. I'm like, I ask, and then I take one step, and I look down and there's this huge branch, perfect, and it's got a curve and it's about this thick on one end and smaller on the other hand with like things coming out of it that are already broken off where I can hold it, and it's long enough that I can put it in front of me to figure out, like, because I can't always see like how deep is it? Is it going to be a drop off and then all of a sudden I'm going to be, up to my hips. And it's just perfect. And I'm like, thank you. And at that time, at that moment, I knew I was going to find my dog. I'm like, I'm going to find my dog because they're helping me. So, and it's like finding like a needle in a haystack, 80 acres of woods, and dogs, when they're trapped or tangled up, they won't make a sound. Like you'd think that she'd be barking or whimpering or calling for help. They don't, because they know that they're predators. So their instinct takes over. And this is the same thing that happened when my other dog got lost for 3 days and 3 nights. And that one I was definitely guided after three, and I thought he was a goner, but anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, so I get the walking stick, I go, and I'm ringing the bell, calling her repeatedly, and go, and it takes me hours and hours. And I also went back in the other direction, not just towards my ranch. I went the other way. And then I'm looking for her in case she's in there somehow tangled up, because like I don't know what happened, because she there's nothing on her that should have been able to get tangled up, but clearly she was trapped. Oh, and also the evening before, I had asked my neighbor if I could check on their property. They're like the next ranch over, because I thought maybe she got into some building, because they have some dilapidated buildings. Maybe she got in there and then fell through something and then couldn't get out. And I had already done all that, and she wasn't anywhere to be found there. So I'm doing the whole creek thing, and I walk the whole way past well past anywhere that the dogs would normally go into the creek on my property. And then I come out, and then I'm like, okay, she's not there. So I'm still walking around with the dogs and, checking through the woods and just trying to, like, where could she be? I finally, at 5 o'clock, this is the next day, so she's been missing 24 hours at this point. I go back to the house. I'm like, I haven't even had coffee today. And it's I drink coffee not for the caffeine, but more for the flavor and the ritual aspect. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go, and I'm soaking wet also, because I've been, I had knee-high rubber boots on, but they immediately got filled with water. So I'm like, so I go back, I change my clothes, I put on a pot of coffee, and then the coffee's ready, and I go sit on my back porch with a pot of coffee, with not the whole pot of cup of coffee. And I'm sitting on my back porch enjoying, it's like beautiful view, beautiful day. And I'm like, I can't believe that I haven't found her, because when I found the stick, I'm like, I'm going to find her. I know I'm going to find her. And by the way, I kept that stick, this huge stick, the whole way leaving the creek and coming back to my house, it's really hard to carry a big stick through dense woods and brush and stuff like that. And I've got all the steel pond and giant trees. And I'm like, I'm not leaving the stick, because this stick represents my dog. And if I leave it, this means like I'm going to take it with me. So it took me so much longer to get through the woods, because I'm like, I'm not leaving the stick. It would have been so much easier to get through. But anyway, so, and it's huge. Again, it's like, I don't know, like 8 feet. It was huge. And again, I have very dense forest on my property and a lot of yopon. So I can't just go straight line. I have to and then I'm like trying to figure out where's the house. And anyway, I finally get back to the house, change my clothes, get into dry clothes, make the coffee, sit on my back porch. And I'm like, I'm just going to leave it to the universe or whoever, and I didn't ask. I'd been asking the whole time I was out there, please help me find my dog. Please help me find my dog. Please help me find my dog. And not finding my dog. So I had gone 3 times to the place where she, last pinged on the tracker, going back and forth. And I sit down on my back porch with the coffee, and I'm like, and almost immediately I get a very clear message: go back and check where the last place that you saw her on the tracker. And I'm like, okay, well, I already checked that whole area 3 times, but when I get a download, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. So I don't even finish my cup of coffee. I get a headlamp because now we're getting close to, it's like 5:30. We're getting close to, it's gonna be getting dark. So in case it does start getting dark, I've got my headlamp on. I got a couple extra things just to make sure I've got everything I need. And then I set out. And it's about, from where I was on my back porch, it's not even that far, but I go onto my neighbor's property because theirs is cleared for cattle. Because instead of me trying to, traipse through my woods. So I go under the barbed wire fence, and they'd already given me permission to go on the property. So um and I go, and I'm walking toward, like, beeline. It's a very huge field to get to where the point. It's like, 10 minutes, kind of like, but it's an open field. So I'm like, I'd see her if she was here on the open field because it's flat. Um, but I start walking, and I'm walking on the cleared area, and I wasn't even planning to start ringing the bell. I had the thing in my pocket. I wasn't planning to start ringing it until I got where it told me to go back. And then I'm walking along my property, which is all dense woods, but on the clear side. And a voice says, ring the bell now. And I'm like, okay. So I take out the ring, the thing, and I've been ringing this thing, a million times over the past 24 hours. And there were so many times where I'd be like, oh, I hear the bell. I hear the bell. Is that the bell? And I'd hit it, and I'm like, I thought I heard the bell. Like, just, this hope over and over again. And the voice says, ring the bell now. So I stop, I get it out of my pocket, I hit the bell. And way off in the distance over here, I think I hear a bell. And I'm like, that's probably my imagination. I've heard it 1,000 times. And I hit it again, and I'm like, I hear the little ring, like way off in the distance. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like getting all excited. I'm like, ring, ring every time I hear the bell. And I'm like, okay, that's definitely the caller. Now, what I don't know is, because I'm calling her, she's not making a peep. I don't know if I'm going to find the collar by itself. I don't know if I'm going to find the collar on a dead dog, or if I'm going to find the collar on my alive dog. So I'm shoving, and again, I've got 2 of my dogs. I've got my Belgian Malinois, my husky, her father, and um, I can't go in a straight line. I'm ringing, and the bell's getting closer, but I can't just go where I hear it. So I have to maneuver, to get around big brush and big trees and stuff like that. I'm getting closer and closer and closer. I can't see anything because the brush is so dense, but my 2 dogs have now gone to the place where I can tell the ringing is coming from. And, but they're not, like, I don't know what they're doing. Are they with my other dog, or like, what are they sniffing? Is there some, and, because I can't see, I can just see that they're over there. And I finally get close enough when I'm 5 feet from where, the bell is coming from. I can see her finally. That's how close I had to be be able to see my dog. She's laying there alive. And I'm like, oh my God, Aurora, thank God. And and she has her tail. She's got a fluffy husky tail because her father's a husky. And there's this vine coming out of the ground, and it goes way up. But the base of the vine, about this much of it, has these very sharp thorns, but they're interspersed. They're not like super dense together, like, spread out every inch or so. And then this is like this amazing nature thing. So here's 6 inches coming out of the ground, 6, 8 inches. And then the next part that's about 6 or 8 inches long is super dense thorns, like solid thorns. And they're sharp as a needle. You can't even touch them. They hurt so much if you touch them. She had obviously been running past, and they grabbed her tail, and then she got stuck with the thorns and then wrapped around it. So her tail was wrapped all around this thorny thing and caught, so embedded in these thorns. And anytime she'd move, it would stab her. I mean, like, painfully. So she was just laying there, and then I'm like, thank God. And so I immediately start working, trying to get her unraveled from the thorns. And I couldn't get it. I couldn't get her. She was so tangled. and it hurt. Like anytime I'm pulling, I'm trying to get the fur off and I couldn't get it off. And I'm like kind of, a few hairs at a time. But then she's like, ouch, you're hurting me because she's getting stabbed with the thorns, anytime I'm touching her tail. So she's trying to, shove my hand away, kind of like my dog was doing here, but she wanted to get petted. So she's like, stop, please stop doing that. And so I'm like, okay, I have to go get scissors, and I hate to leave you, but and it's starting to get dark. I'm like, I have to leave you. I have to go back to the house, and it's a good 10 minutes running to get back to the house. And so I leave her there, and the other dogs come with me. I go back, I go under the barbed wire fence again, I get down on my belly and go under, and go run back to the house, go get hair cutting scissors that I know are going to be nice and sharp and be able to cut through. And I wanted to get a pair of like cutting, clippers, to just cut the piece of the vine so I could take her with me and deal with it later. I've got like 6 or 7 pairs, could not find a single one. And I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to bring that. I'm just supposed to bring the scissors. So I'm like, I don't waste any more time. I run back and I'm calling her because she can hear me, I'm sure, off in the distance. I mean, she's not even that far away. She was far, but like so I'm just calling her, Aurora, I'm coming, and I ring the bell every once in a while just so she knows I'm coming. And then and then and I can't hear the bell, obviously. That's for her to know that I'm coming. And and I paid attention when I was coming out of the woods, because again, dense woods. When I came out the same way that I went in, and I paid close attention because I'm like, okay, I came up between this tree and this bush, and they're about, 20 feet apart or something. And I'm like, and she's kind of straight in there. But I'm just gonna ring the bell again, and then I'll be able to find her. Well, I get to where I came out, and I'm ringing the bell, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't hear the bell. Can't hear it. So I have to get to that precise point where the voice told me to ring the bell. And then I'm like, okay, now I hear the bell again. Like that's how little distance I had to be able to hear the bell. Even when I knew where she was and I'm hitting the bell, like approaching that area, couldn't hear it. So there was about a 10-foot space where I was close enough and where the bell sound was coming through. So again, even trying to re-find her after I already knew where she was. Like that's how, anyway, the precision of the voice telling me to ring the bell right then. So then I'm like, okay, you're finally here, thank God. And then I have to make my way back through the bushes, get the scissors, cut her fur enough to just free her. And then I'm like, you're gonna have to follow me because I can't carry her out of the woods because it's too dense, but she can, walk. So I realized that it's closer to go out the other 90-degree direction because the clearing is closer to us if I go straight. So, and she immediately wants to go back to the house. I'm like, no, Aurora, we have to go this way. So I'm like, come on, we're gonna go this way. So we get out, we get back onto the clearing, we walk around on my neighbor's property on their cleared area, and then we go back. And then I'm gonna go pick her up, and she stops and she squats down, and I'm like, come on, Aurora. And she pees and she poops. She'd been holding, the poor little thing had been holding it for more than 24 hours because she didn't want to pee on herself, I guess. Anyway, I'm like, okay, go, yeah, pee and poop. So then she does that, and then I pick her up, and then now we're walking all the way, and then I have to get, climb back under the barbed wire. And then at this point, I'm just kind of relaxed, calm, just I'm not gonna freak out and try to rush, but she's clearly going to be hungry and very thirsty. So I get her back to the house, and I'd already put all the other dogs in the house because I wanted to deal with like finding somebody else, but except for the 2 that I brought with me. And I bring her in and I give her like some chicken, like I feed my dogs raw. Anyway, I give her that, give her water, start feeding her food, and she's just like ravenous. And then I let all the other dogs come in from where I had them out in their kennel, and then everybody's like, yay, Aurora's back. But anyway, so the point was the walking stick and and I still have the walking stick and the precision of the voice, and because I asked. So that was the story.
And your intuition has spanned a lot of areas, whether it's the art that you picked up out of the blue, and again, selling very I don't know how else to say it, fine art, expensive paintings, but you do color therapy. And that was
Mhm.
something that you've been featured at South by Southwest for. Your art sold internationally. Can you explain a little bit of the colors without doing too much? Because in the other show, we covered that quite a bit. And then can you tie it
Yeah.
back to how you're using your intuition more these days?
Well, that was a good example of using well, and I don't call intuition is a different thing from downloads. I've explained this a number of times to people because they're like, "Oh, that's great, you have that fine-tuned intuition." It's like, no, it's not intuition. Intuition is very different. Intuition is kind of a knowing or a feeling about something, but downloads are very clear, distinct messages. They're often audible and or if they're not like actually hearing a voice, it's a very distinct, clear message, not like more or less, go to this place kind of thing. Well, those I have gotten downloads like that, like literally go to this bookstore, in the center of Florence when I was living in Italy, and it'd be like very clear, distinct, no, and a very specific thing to do. Intuition is more like, oh, I feel like, I should go to that event that's happening tonight. Kind of like, maybe there's something, or I need to, like, as I'm parking, I feel like I should go turn right here. I'm looking for parking downtown Austin, for example, which I just did recently for the Rod Stewart concert a couple weeks ago. And so it's kind of a feeling, I feel like I need to go this way or turn here. Oh, yeah, turn left here now. That's intuition. Download is very clear, specific information. So the thing that I primarily do these days is I have a big global community. I teach about the science behind the healing effects of color and light and energy medicine. And I launched a product line 8 years ago now, the Rejuvenator. So that's all, and there are additional formulations now that I actually created several years ago, but my guides, whoever, I wasn't supposed to release them so the Green Juvenator I just released just over 2 years ago. And that one I'd had for a few years. I mean, I had these, I created them, but again, these are downloads. So, but I wasn't supposed to release them yet. So anyway, there's another one right now, the Blue Juvenator, that we're in pre-launch right now. So we're getting all this incredible feedback from people in the community, my Rejuvenator community. So the Rejuvenator is the number 3 universal formulation that tens of thousands of people around the world are using for healing from pretty much anything and everything. And that's all spread from word of mouth. I've never spent a dime on advertising. So it's all, I support the people in the community and I teach them a whole different paradigm about health and healing and how to take back power over their health and their healing process by not focusing on the Western medicine, symptomatic, treat a symptom with chemistry, pharmaceuticals in the, whether if it's Western medicine, then they're using chemistry with pharmaceuticals to try to control a symptom. If it's alternative healing, they're often just doing the same thing, but they're using supplements or herbs or whatever. But it's a chemistry-based approach to treating symptoms and trying to medicate symptoms or get rid of symptoms. And I teach how to treat and heal the energy body system, which is upstream from the physical body. And you focus on treating and healing the energy body, and that then controls what's going on in the physical body. So you treat the root of the problem in the energy body, depleted life force energy, the fact that you're kind of running on fumes, that your life force energy gas tank is literally running low, which is why then people start having health issues that then snowball. And the original root is the psycho-emotional aspect, but that psyche and stress and trauma and that sort of thing, that blocks the free flow of energy in the energy body. Once something gets blocked in the energy body, then it impacts the physical body. That's why with Eastern medicine, you can always tell well in advance, not that they teach this anymore, because the Eastern medicine, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, that's prevalent in the United States now is post-communist Chinese medicine. So it's following the exact same Western medicine model. It's about, here, have a symptom, tell us what your chief complaint is, treat the symptom, whether through minimal acupuncture or lots of more herbology. We're going to give you a formula and you're going to tweak that each, week. And anyway, so it's basically become Western medicine masking as Eastern medicine. So, which was not what I practiced anyway. I went all meridian energy body based. And the fact that colors connect with the different energy systems. So the different energy systems, well, they're all one integrated whole, but the subsets of each, the energy body, there's a color associated with each one. So, for example, red being the foundational, and are you familiar with the chakra system? Yeah, so the chakra system, there's a chakra system, which is kind of like our transformers, our energy portals that bring energy, that life force energy into our body. And kind of like a transformer, bringing the electricity into your house. And then there's the meridian system, which is like the electrical wiring in your house that distributes that life force energy through your physical body and your energy body, but the physical body. So there are these what are called meridians or energy channels. They're taking that life force energy and they distribute it everywhere it needs to go, whether it's to muscles or organs or anything that's governed, bones, ligaments, tendons. Everything that is in the physical body is governed by these energy body systems. And there are colors that correspond to the different energy systems. So like the color red is fire element. And it's also the color of the root chakra, which is all about survival and physicality and that sort of thing. So, I mean, there's so many different directions that I could go off with explaining, but so which approach
Let's do this.
What do you want to know more about?
I'll put Joy up, who once made the comment that red for the chakra, the red chakra, is also laughter, which I thought was very unique and a cool insight. Here's Joy. Have her suggest a direction that we can go.
The emotion of the red, the fire element, is joy. So, okay, you want to know. All right. So, okay. Probably a more simplified approach because we can talk about the individual colors and how we respond to color and how we can use it on a daily basis. So the colors that we have in our lives are also being emitted from the sun. So when you see a rainbow in the sky and you see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet in the rainbow, those colors are in the sky all the time. So the only reason that you see them split into a rainbow is after it rains and there's little water droplets left in the air, in the atmosphere, and the white light that we perceive all the time when we're out under sunlight. White light is a combination of all those different colors. When you put red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet together, it becomes white light. At a minimum, to form white light, you need RGB, red, green, and blue. So if you've heard of RGB screens can use different colored LEDs, and you can make any color out of those minimum components, red, green, and blue. So at a minimum, to make white light, you need red, green, and blue. But the sunlight has all of the spectral colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Each one of those has healing properties. So when you're out under sunlight, you're getting bathed in all of those color energies, and people aren't even really thinking anything of it. At most, they might be thinking, oh, UVB is supposed to be good for me and it makes vitamin D. I mean, when I started teaching about all this 20 years ago almost, that was just coming out, the information about UVB vitamin D connection. So people are, oh, well, I can just take a pill. Well, vitamin D is actually a hormone. It's a very important hormone in the body. And the synthetic version of the hormone acts differently in the body. You can actually overdose by taking too much synthetic vitamin D, but you can never overdose by getting too much like natural formation of vitamin D in your body. When you get sun exposure during the year, the times of the year that the sun is shining, even here in Central Texas, we don't get enough UVB to be able to produce vitamin D because the sun is too low in the sky. So during the summer months, the term make hay while the sun is shining, that's when you want to get sun exposure on your skin for the purposes of UVB exposure to make vitamin D, which is formed in the skin. And then when you get that sun exposure on your skin, you can make copious amounts of vitamin D that gets stored in your body, just like a squirrel in the fall that goes around rounding up all the nuts, and it takes all the pecans and whatever nuts it can find, hides them in your flower pots so that it has food for the winter. So we do the same thing in our bodies with vitamin D production. When you get enough sun exposure in the summer months, or when the sun is high enough in the sky. And again, depends where you live on the planet, because some parts of the planet, you have a very small window where you're going to get enough UVB coming through because the sun isn't high enough, like Northern Europe kind of thing. Anyway, that's the vitamin D part. So you can make copious amounts of vitamin D, and then it lasts you all winter long. So you don't have these vitamin D deficiency. Vitamin D, again, hormone D is very important for all kinds of physiological processes in the body. A lot of people are vitamin D deficient because they've been listening to the propaganda by mainstream media for the last several decades that don't go under sunshine because it will give you cancer. And so much of this messaging that you get from mainstream media, all these media outlet sources, whether text or, video or audio, it's all controlled by big pharma. So they want you to be sick and depleted so that then they can get you into their system and then start medicating you and giving you pills and surgeries and trying to control your symptoms, which the pharmaceuticals then always end up creating new problems. So you take one pill and now you have 10 new problems from that first pill, and you need 10 more pills. So anyway, it's all a money driven, but it's not just about money and profit. It's about keeping people sick and where they can't, be thinking clearly, and because it's much easier to control a sickly population than it is to control a healthy population. So you want to, throw out all that messaging, make sure you're getting sunshine. So the sunshine, when I started teaching about this, I'm like, everybody's focusing on the UV and the infrared and stuff like that, but there's the visible light spectrum. Nobody's talking about that, the colors that are within sunlight. And the foundation of my Eastern medicine practice was, Zen Shiatsu and acupuncture, and working with the energy system and the energy meridians to clear blockages, fill up the life force energy gas tank. But you can't do that with acupuncture. Acupuncture doesn't put life force energy in. It will work with the available energy that's in the system and open up blockages, redistribute the energy, but it won't put energy in. But I was also trained in energy medicine. So I was doing pranic healing, Reiki and that sort of thing, and that puts energy into the system. So anytime I was working with one of my patients, I was giving them energy with their permission. You always have to have permission, from their higher realm, whether you or however you want it. But the fact that they're coming to get the energy treatments is a good indicator that they're receptive to it. So working with energy and then the meridians. And go ahead, you have a question.
Do you still do one-on-one help? Like if people want to reach out?
No, I haven't done that in years. I support like literally tens of thousands of people. There are thousands of people because not everybody who uses the Rejuvenator is active in the community, but there are thousands in my online community, and there I'm providing free personalized healing guidance and support. So I teach people and it's not just like cookie cutter here, little soundbite. Everybody's used to getting things in soundbite. This is a whole paradigm shift. You start thinking in a completely different way about your health and healing process. So I work with my entire community, and whenever somebody has questions or they would like free personalized healing guidance, they post their question right in the group. That way thousands of people see that and they see how I'm responding. So everybody's getting to learn in real time through like a real kind of clinic environment where you're getting to be the observer, see the problem is, and then like, oh, my sister has that same problem, or my father has that, or whatever. And then learning how to use the Rejuvenator for treating and healing that problem. But I mean, you can't really do it. It's so intuitive and you can't really do anything wrong, but you can get faster results by doing certain protocols, very simplified protocols. It's not complicated at all, but sometimes people don't understand what the root of all of they've got, I've got pain, inflammation. Doctor says I have fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is just, you have pain everywhere and we don't know what's causing it. So here, take some pills and then take these every day. I've got thyroid dysfunction. I've got cancer. I've got brain glioblastoma. I mean, it heals anything and everything. So, but because it's treating the root, it's filling up your life force energy gas tank, which is, like I said, often running on fumes with people. So it fills up your gas tank and it opens up the blockages in the energy channel. So say you've got like a torn, rotator cuff, or you even just a shoulder injury, frozen shoulder, something like that. These are anything that's happening in this area here around the scapulae, down the sides, but down the backs of the arms. That's pretty much liver gallbladder energy system, which is related to stress and toxicity. So when people are eating a poor diet or if they have a lot of stress in their lives, they'll often notice, like, you can feel like relaxed, but then stressed out the next minute, and then everything tightens up here. So that's literally the energy system, the energy meridian that's getting blocked. Are you looking at my cat in the background? I see she walks by. And she's like, I just be on camera. Uh, anyway, so I explain to people and they get to see through real world, like what's going on in their own body. And here, put the Rejuvenator on your abdomen, and then how it fixes not just the problem, it's also treating the root of it, because it's filling up your life force energy gas tank, doing the detox protocol, which is really phenomenal for getting physical toxins out of the body and out of the organ systems, and also detoxifying the energy body. So that's where that I spend my time doing that. I don't do one-on-one patients. I stopped doing seeing one-on-one patients actually when I started teaching about all of this stuff. And prior to that, that was where I had my healing practice working with cancer patients up in British Columbia, before I came back to Austin, 2006. And I I came back to Austin. I was feeling depleted myself because I'd been working so much and not taking care of myself and not charging up my own life force energy gas tank. So that was when I decided to take the beginner painting class. So that's where the whole art thing came from. So taking the beginner painting class was just for me to find a way to get into flow, because I didn't have a piano back then, and I'm trained as a classical pianist, and that's how I would, get into flow other than going in nature. Plus I was living in Austin. Austin, there's no nature. I mean, you have a park in the middle of, but there's no, and I'd never lived anywhere in my life before where I couldn't just get in a vehicle or get on a motorcycle when I lived in Italy and drive for 20 or 30 minutes and I'm surrounded by beautiful nature. In Austin, I was surrounded by city and more city and more city. So very disconnected from nature, very disconnected from, having a flow practice, whether it was through my music or anything else. So that was why I took the beginner painting class. And I think we talked about that last time, but the whole trajectory that happened with and the reason for that, again, this was divine guidance, because I literally got a download we did a one-night exhibition at the end of this beginner painting class, which is unheard of to do an exhibition for a beginner painting class. I mean, it's a beginner painting class, for crying out loud, but the perfect combination of things that had to happen to manifest that. And then I got all this attention from the faculty. This was through Austin Community College, got picked for their, annual exhibition where they do this art department exhibition. And I just got some people clamoring to talk to me from seeing the abstract paintings that I was creating at home. Not the stuff that I was doing in class because I couldn't get into flow with the teacher talking. But so that's where, after this one-night exhibition, I got the download. Now you need to become a full-time professional artist. And I was like, huh? Like, what? Like, no, like, that's going to be boring for me to just be an artist, like, because I'm so interested in so many things. Anyway, I'm like, oh, okay. So I started looking for a studio space, but it's because of the download. And that, again, was a very clear message, not, I feel like maybe I should explore being an artist now. No, it was a very clear, distinct, command almost. Now you need to become a full-time professional artist. I'm like, that's going to be, I just thought it would be not very interesting. And frankly, I I still don't, I don't think being a full artist like, and being in the gallery circuit, I hated that whole part. I hated the whole, you're like almost like a celebrity because you're a recognized internationally award-winning artist, and it was just kind of weird. But what did happen as a result of that, as a result of being creating these paintings, creating flow state, and they're all like color field paintings, but with much more complexity to them than Rothko, which I love Rothko's paintings, but many layers of paint, translucent paint, so lots of color coming through. And you look at them, or this was the feedback I got over and over again. You look at them and people get transported. They kind of almost get taken into flow, and they start getting messages. They start getting information through the paintings. And then they also get, this very serene calmness. I had people that were looking at my paintings and they're like crying. And they're like, I can't stop staring at your paintings. For the first 3 years, I would hear this all the time. I'd be like, they're just being nice. They're just being nice. I'm a beginner painter. They don't know what they're talking about. And anyway, but then I realized, what was going on. The whole purpose of becoming the full-time artist was so that these color field paintings were now out in the world, and it precipitated conversations when people would come to me and say, I can't stop staring at your red paintings or your blue paintings or your teal paintings. Then I'd say, oh, well, if you're really drawn to that color, it might mean you've got this going on in your body and this going on in your life, because I already know all this from my work and my research and my understanding of how the colors work, the chakras and the meridian system, and how different colors control and govern those different energy components. So I already had created this whole color system where it's like based on the color, and I used to use it as a diagnostic with my patients. I'd ask them, what colors are you feeling particularly drawn to right now? And what colors are you feeling repelled by? What colors are you normally drawn to? And is there a difference with what's going on in your life right now? That would always give me the starting point, because then I knew exactly what energy system I needed to start working with, because the colors that they were craving would tell me the energy system that was blocked or deficient. So then I'm like, oh, okay, you've got liver gallbladder stuff going on, or you've got spleen stomach stuff going on. And then obviously with my shiatsu patients, I would do a hara reading. So I would actually do an energy scan on their abdomen, and off body, because I'm much more sensitive using just picking up energy rather than palpating, which is what they were teaching here in the United States. But fortunately, I had an instructor teacher who also taught in Europe. And I said, is it okay if I do off-body readings instead of doing the typical hara diagnosis where you're pressing? Because I get a lot more information energetically. I can feel where their blocked areas, scanning their hara. And she said, oh yeah, we do that a lot in Europe. And they just, in the States, people want to do that. They don't, they have a harder time understanding the concept of the energy body system. So that's how I always did my readings. And then I could immediately tell, okay, this energy system is deficient. But part of the questionnaire that I would ask them, just a few questions. What colors are you feeling drawn to right now? What colors are you drawn to? What's your favorite season? Stuff like that. So I could tell from just those few questions, as opposed to the Chinese medicine is like 10 questions, but really it's kind of like 100 questions, because so you're using a lot of left brain logic to analyze using the Chinese medicine intake, where you're relying on your your patient to know stuff like, what color is your urine right now? Is it straw colored? Is it dark yellow? And a lot of people are like, I don't know. I go pee, I flush the toilet. I don't like it. It's like, in this culture, people are not trained to look at our, bodily fluids and the things that but you can get so much information from them, the color of your poop, the shape of your poop. I mean, so the Chinese system, where you're asking a lot of left brain logical questions to try to come to an analysis of what's going on. And again, it's, looking at the symptoms. So the whole color approach that I was using would just immediately get me to the energy system right away. So that was where, with the paintings, when people would be, I can't stop staring at your red paintings, I could immediately tell, oh, I know what energy system is out of balance, and I know what symptoms and what emotional state goes with that imbalance. So I'd say, you may have this going on in your body and this going on in your life. And they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what's going on in my body and my life. How do you know that? So that's how that was the purpose of the paintings, to have this real world representation that people could see and feel and interact with the colors. And the one-on-one conversations started, and then people were like, okay, where's the book? I want to know more. And I'm like, well, the book's in my head. This is, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of books, however many things, and the resources and the research I've been doing and working with my patients and kind of getting more and more data throughout practice and through reading just tons of resources about all different kinds of fields. Anyway, so the conversations were what started it. And it was 3 years literally of pestering of people. Can you write the book? And I'm like, do you know how much work it is to write a book? Well, can you at least put some of it on your website? And I'm like, do you know how hard that is to take, like, you've got a supercomputer amount of knowledge in your head, and you want me to pare it down into a format that you can then go and look, okay, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And I'm like, it's so hard. Anyway, so, but I did. I finally ended up doing that. That was also precipitated by something that was an event that, anyway, longer story about that. But again, all of this stuff that happened was just, you know, being guided along the whole way. And me not questioning where I'm like getting these downloads, do this next, do this, do that, you know, go to this thing, go to that event. And then also with the when I got the download, you need to become a full-time professional artist. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm not doing the starving artist. I'm rejecting that whole paradigm. I'm going to be very, very wealthy, highly paid, highly sought after artist. So I just set that intention. And then everything that came, all these opportunities that were constantly landing in my lap, people asking me, we have this thing, we have this big exhibition, you know, this outdoor market. You know, it's like, you know, people normally pay $500 for the booth. We just want to give you one to come and show your stuff. And I'm like, thank you, but no thank you, because that's not in alignment with me being a highly paid, sought after, you know, working in an art market. I mean, it's like you have to make your choices. Where are you going to go? So, and if you take opportunities that aren't in alignment with where you want to go because you're afraid, well, you know, this is the best thing I've got going right now. If you take that opportunity, then when the real one comes along, you're already tied up with this other one that isn't the right one for you. So
Let's go right into that, and let's talk about how a person watching can
Mhm.
attune their intention, their vibration into alignment with broader possibility. Do you have a few small steps to help clear the decks, get back to here, and get going in some direction?
Yeah. Yes. So sometimes people think, you know, what should I do with my life? I want to quit my job. I hate my job. I want to do something. And they analyze everything left brain logically. They're like, oh, you know, I've got my checklist. This would be a good thing. This would be a good job. This, you know, and they've got all of this analytical approach to what should I, you know, what should I do, or where should I get another job, or should I be an entrepreneur or do my own thing or make my own crafts and sell them? They try to analyze things from a left brain logical approach. So the very easiest thing to do is, if you think about doing something, or you think about working at this place, or you think about, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to determine, is that a good thing for me? There's always a feeling associated with it. You might override the feeling by going, oh, I'm sure it's a good opportunity. They've got good medical coverage. But when you tune in with your gut's going, no, but it's good. They've got the big salary and medical coverage and, you know, company car. But you're going, like, inside, you're going, but I'm ignoring this because this is telling me, good job. So we always know inside, internally, we always have that inner knowing what is good for us, what path is right for us. But many people ignore what they feel inside, and they follow their left brain logic, or they follow what people tell them to do, or they follow the programming and the propaganda that they hear in mainstream media. Instead of, you know, that was one of the things that happened in the last 5 years, where there were so many of us that were like, oh, there's something really wrong with what's going on. This is what I'm hearing doesn't resonate. It doesn't make sense, the whole, scamdemic. So there were other people, a high percentage of people that listen to the programming, the repetitive programming and the fear mongering. And when you're in a state of fear, you can't tune in with any of this, because think of yourself being afraid and tense. Everything gets stuck, everything gets blocked in your energy system. And when you're in a state of fear, your body can't heal, because you are either in a fight or flight state or you're in a healing state. But if you've got, like, a giant tiger chasing after you and you just ate a meal, you're not going to be digesting that food. You're not going to be able to tune in with anything. You're just like, I've got to run and, get away from the tiger. So that's how our bodies respond when we're in a state of fear, fight or flight. So that blocks that free flow of energy in your energy body. So you literally are blocking any potential for healing, because you're literally blocking everything. So the one thing is being able to tune in, but the other thing, that being in that state of fear, is we have to just trust. And that was one of the things that I had to do repeatedly, just remind myself everything is going to be okay. I'm taken care of. Like, I just had this knowing, like when I found the stick, I'm going to find my dog, even though I wasn't finding my dog. But it's like, you have to just let go and let things manifest at the timing and whatever that they're supposed to, instead of trying to control the process, which is another thing that I was trying to do with the dog. Analytically, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. Like, where could she have gone? Thinking logically. And as soon as you slow down and get calm and relax and that was a big thing. It's like, I just let go. I'm like, it's whatever's meant to be is going to happen. And I'm going to be okay with it, no matter what. Whether it's, even if I don't find her, I'm just going to have to be okay with that. And as soon as I did that, that's when the message came. So we have total control and power over how we feel and what we choose to allow into our psyches. So I tell people all the time, if you're watching any kind of mainstream media, if you're reading New York Times, if you're reading Wall Street Journal, if you're reading any of this stuff, that's all programmed propaganda. You just have to stop. So you have to make the choice to not be taking in that toxic low vibration information. If you're on Facebook and you're engaging in groups where people are like, or, this toxic, venomous banter that you see all the time is, especially around politics and, TDS and all the stuff that's going on right now. And people, again, because they're being programmed and manipulated, because they're taking in this misinformation through mainstream media, and they're believing it, and they're being manipulated, and they're being kept in that state of fear, because it is so easy to control people when you keep them in a state of fear. And the anger that they put out is to cover their fear. It's safe for them to have anger and that, like, run or kill the tiger or whatever. That is that fight or flight approach. So when you're giving people information that conflicts with their story, their inner story, they get very agitated and very angry, because you're basically rocking the reality and challenging the reality. And so, but everybody has the capability of rejecting all this external information and coming back to source and your core self. But it does really require, like, stop letting the toxic stuff in. It's the same thing with, my healing community. I tell people, it's like, yes, you can use the Rejuvenator. It's going to heal pretty much anything and everything, but you have to look at and get an understanding, where did this come from in the first place? And if you're still doing the things that created this environment, whether it's eating McDonald's junk food every day and thinking that's food and your body can actually operate on that, or being in a stressful job, or getting stressed out about little things, which is kind of a snowballing thing, because when you get stressed out about little things, it makes you more stressed and it makes you more tense, and the free flow of energy gets even more blocked, which makes you feel more stressed and agitated, because it's literally physically stressing you out, and then you stress. So it's a vicious snowballing cycle. So I always tell people you have to stop putting the sand in the gas tank, whether that's, you know, watching the news. That's a big one. You know, watching the news that's designed to get you agitated and angry and in a state of fear. And, you know, you've got to be angry at somebody all the time. So we're going to give you this, tell you this story. So you get pissed off at, you know, whoever it is. And that is very disconnecting. I mean, it's done very cleverly and by design. So you have to stop putting that kind of sand in your gas tank. Stop letting that kind of anger inducing misinformation come in, which is 100% designed to manipulate you and control you and keep you down. You have to eat real food instead of eating all this stuff that's the equivalent of plastic. And it's like, well, it's so hard to find real food and it takes so long to cook. It's like, really, it doesn't. That's your paradigm. That's what you've been programmed to believe. Go out and buy convenience food. And it's like, it literally takes the same amount of time to make something, you know, buy real foods. And people, oh, it's so expensive to buy, you know, vegetables and organic food. It's like, what you are going to be saving in terms of all the time, the downtime and the sickness and the health problems and misery is going to more than make up for that. Not to mention the fact that if you're buying all these supplements, people will spend thousands of dollars on all these supplements. Well, I have to take this because, you know, the food that we get nowadays is deficient of nutrients. It's like, you're programming. You're like, oh no, I have to take all these pills, and I have to, my doctor says I need to take this to control my thyroid because I've got hypothyroidism or I've got, you know, my blood pressure is getting a little high. So here's a pill to control your blood pressure. Guess what? If you ate real food, you got that energy flowing in your body the way that it's supposed to. You're not going to have high blood pressure. Things will work the way that they're supposed to. Oh, go ahead. You want to do
I
some
have
sage?
some sage
Okay.
for you that I'm going to light from just 60 miles away, and I'm going to blow across the state of Texas. It's not as often that I get to do a fellow Texan here on the show, but I'm going to blow sage your way, catch a little extra, and get a reminder on something from your crew, your team. Get a little download on a short and sweet reminder for us all while I'm doing this. You can see the light. You might already start tasting it or smelling it if you're at home. It doesn't matter what year this is that you're watching the video. Time and space isn't what you think it is. There's the sage, red-tailed hawk feather from Texas. I'm going to keep saying the word Texas. Okay. Catch a little sage. You getting it A-okay?
Yep, I am.
And what are you getting from your crew coming in as a simple reminder for everybody right now?
Simplify. I don't know what that means. Just a minute. That was the word that came, but simplify. Decluttering, decluttering your life in terms of like, probably in alignment with these other things that I was talking about, how we bring in so much clutter and chaos. And it's just like when you have a bunch of clutter in your house and you can't think clearly because everything is so cluttered and you can't find, where's that piece of paper? You can't, you expend so much unnecessary energy trying to sift through things, both in real life and metaphorically, that you're constantly in that state of like, you're never settled because you're just always seeking or looking for something or trying to sift through all this. This is just, I'm kind of getting this right now as we're speaking. But when you stop taking in all this unnecessary chatter that's cluttering up your energy field and, you know, lowering your vibration and bringing in all this constant data that you're like, my thoughts are over here and here and here and here and here and here, that keeps you out of being able to connect with your core self. So simplify and declutter, which was the message I just got, is just it's kind of like get the sand out of your gas tank. Stop putting the sand in your gas tank. Don't allow that stuff in. Start decluttering and get the remnants out that are in your energy body system so that then you can start feeling that connection and tuning in. Anyway, that's what I got.
And I used to be in New York City for like close to 20 years, did a little bit of Wall Street for a couple of years, but shifted over to public relations. So I used to deal with a lot of media outlets. And this is like from 1995 to maybe 2010, 2011. I'd put people on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, put them on CNN. But this is back when the media outlets, I'm going to say, were much more normal, like
Mhm.
just a little more peaceful. I don't recognize any of the outlets today. I honestly have been
Right,
not.
because back then they were owned by different entities. Like
Yeah, now I
they
don't want
weren't
to get into too many more details, but I would never do the same job again. And I loved it back then. I was a pig in mud,
Mhm.
loved connecting people and making stuff happen, creative ideas flowing. And it's not possible today to find the same industries anymore. And that's also why their subscription base is like 1/10 of what it used to be in the 90s. I'm
Yeah.
going to use this as a background, but blue sky is number one for your hands, seeing light on you. Everyone's got light. Light is on everything. You can see the light flowing between people if you really wanted to go loosey goosey. But I'm going to show my light. You don't have to show yours. But the second you do see my colors, a little bit of aura stuff between my fingers, I'll do it Celestine Prophecy way. But in India, they do it this way. And as one guest who was around as a healer in the 70s said, we were doing it this way before Celestine Prophecy, the movie. So it's just seeing light.
I was doing it that way before Celestine Prophecy
Yeah.
too. So.
Well, I want to give them credit though, because they made it popular, so
Yeah.
that's good. And I
Yes. Yeah.
cite them. Uh,
Well, that all the stuff. Yeah. That
I'll
was
do it
stupid.
this way, but once you see my light, say whatever colors you see, then ask Joy and a bunch of other angels and loving beings to kick it into gear and turn it into flowers, butterflies, geometric patterns, vortices. Who knows? Two people got phoenixes, one person got a running buffalo, butterflies, other fun stuff. But
What
here
am I
it goes.
looking for from Joy? Sorry, I'm like,
Well, I'll just show my light first, but after you see my light, let the universe kick it into gear up a notch and get extra designs or art or fun. You'll
okay.
figure it out. But here it goes. You get a dad joke. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips. And here it goes. Just see a little filament of light or a lot of
Oh,
light.
yeah, I can see it very clearly.
What are you seeing for colors?
It's the primary right around your fingers is a bluish, oh, I don't even know how would I describe that? It's almost like, no, what's the name of that? Periwinkle.
Ooh.
Periwinkle, but illuminated. And then there's some pink. Um, go, put your fingers a little bit closer together. I want to see the tendrils. Yeah, and then there's a greenish kind of, not like a dark green. I'm trying to describe these colors. You'd think as an artist I'd have more of a vocabulary. It's not quite a yellow, chartreuse. That
Ooh.
those are the main ones, but
Okay,
that blue is
let's
really pretty.
Let's turn
Um,
it up and let angels and everybody come in. What are you starting to see between my fingers bigger and broader?
there's something in the background. I keep getting a pyramid,
Yeah.
but
You can
when
close your eyes and
more,
close your eyes and have them bring it to you that way. I'm gonna grab my seat again. And there's a Charlotte and a Min. I'll put up their photos in a second, but have them come in so you're getting three-way plus extra angels, and have them show you something super fun that you can relate to us in words, but also get like a little mantra, reminder, something short and sweet that folks can sink their teeth into or their experience in.
okay, let me hold on because I'm getting glimmerings of an image, but I'm not able to hang on to it.
And I'm going to blow to my microphone that's below. I'm holding it up, showing people. I'm going to blow and give you a little Hawaii in the air so you get distracted at the brain, but your heart's going to take everything in. And let us know if you get a little Hawaii as well. Here it comes. I'll try to blow loud so it makes it through the microphone filters. Get your little sea spritz on the nose. If anybody has had a long day and you're watching 3 weeks from now, a year from now, you can still get a nice bit of Hawaii in the room, even if you're in Germany, Christchurch, Tokyo, or Beijing.
I'm getting there. I can't figure out what the shape is. It's something with steps on it. And I don't know, like I'm trying to analyze it logically instead of just letting it
You
form.
can cheat and ask Joy straight up for an answer.
Okay. No,
I'll put Joy's photo up if you want to sneak a peek, and she'll
okay.
spill the beans.
It's something, I don't know what the thing is. I don't know what the thing is. It's something with steps.
Here's Charlotte and here's Min. One of them will point blank say it outright.
I'm getting a partial word. Oh my God. First it was like cauldron cauliflower, something with a C-A-U-L.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
And
Pers
I'll do one more thing. And Joy's going to be the one that's our main ambassador for this. But I'll just put my hand up. If you can feel her vibe, my vibe, just 11 above, not my bill paying side, or I got to go mow the grass or something. Uh, feel what you can feel. You can use your whole body. You can put your hand up. It doesn't matter either way. And let us know, what are you feeling for a vibe right now?
there's a high frequency energy coming through. And
I didn't do it. Well, a little bit I did, but we're going to blame angels. Don't blame Canada. And I'm going to
there's
start whooshing with my extra hand here. I'm going to whoosh 3 times, little, medium, and big. But if anybody wants to go big, go ahead and go big. And it's go big, go home. You're already home. So we are going to go big in a little bit. Here comes a little bit of blowing as well. And you're going to get a lot of angel love, galactic beings, light beings, fairies, throw in the whole kit and caboodle. Here we go.
feels good.
What'd you get on that one?
Just like a big wave of like love energy, but not, it's kind of very calming, soothing, which is in direct contrast to what I was picking up here, which was much higher energy and more like this was Kundalini energy where I felt that
Ooh.
whole surge come
And I
through.
should have said that out loud. So you did good. I say it on other shows. I forgot today to say it, but there's a Kundalini Express on the backside. You also have a front. We'll make up some words. Light flow highway. Ask for front and back on the next one and get the Kundalini Express. No limits. Turn it into an Autobahn and whatever
Yeah,
that means. Extra colors and extra joy and extra light coming your way. Here it comes. And a little Hawaii on the nose, though. Here it comes.
it's already, yeah, it's a very strong surge of energy.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
anybody
Yeah,
who wants to get rippled through the weekend, we're on a Friday right now. If you're watching it later, add a week, whatever you allow for. That's the rub for all of us. What will you really allow for? I know. I know it's not easy being human, but it's easy. Okay, here's the last one. I'm going to look like a goose and be blowing away at the microphone. So here it comes. Again, big. Ask the whole for the whole enchilada. We'll do some cuisine lingo here. Okay, here we go. And how about them apples to stick to the cuisine language?
yeah, that's intense. That was strong. Again, different from the Kundalini surge. It was more, that was kind of more of a spiraling all around upward moving energy that was, yeah. That was another thing that kind of came to me during the last one. Well, earlier, before I was able to easily distinguish which practice makes perfect between downloads versus my brain thinking of something where like clear auditory message or intuition or like knowing if it was something that was that wasn't from me, if it wasn't me using my analytical brain to come up with something like, you know, where you're you, oh, I got this message, but was that me or was it, or like when I would work with my patients, for example, and I could feel like my knee would start hurting, for example, and I would know that they would have knee pain. Or I'd feel like pressure or like grief in my chest that I could pick up from them. When I had to query back then, I would get, if it was like a download, I would get a little Kundalini surge. I could always tell when in almost like with precognitive information also, um, I would get like this kundal, like this literal surge of kundalini energy going from first chakra all the way up. And it's like I don't know how to, it's like a mini orgasm almost, where you feel this energy coming up. And when I would get that, then I know that's true information. It's not me overlaying any of my, my story or whatever, not trying to analyze or interpret things. So, but then I got to the point where it's like I immediately know now. I mean, it's so easy to distinguish. There's no, overlaying of my conscious, left brain thinking onto something. I can tell the difference. But early on, I needed that kind of a parameter to know, is this me or is it something else? And then when I got the Kundalini surge, I would know that it's not me. This isn't coming from my head. This is coming from source or guides or angels or whatever. I still don't really have a word. I don't have a word
Oh,
for
I like it.
it.
Let's do rapid fire. I'll put up maybe 10 figures total and then we'll start to wrap it up. But rapid fire, what you get as a reminder from this angel, this Native American chief, this figure, we'll figure it out. I'll put up a couple figures. We'll just go from scratch.
Okay.
But here's
Rapid
Joy
fire is
again.
better. You don't have to think.
Okay,
Mhm.
here's
Go
Joy
ahead.
again. She's super sweet and easy. What does she have as a reminder to keep it easy, have more fun, and walk a smoother path?
Life. I don't know what that means. That's the message. Life.
Probably live your life more.
Maybe
Here's
possibly.
Charlotte, an angel who's everybody's favorite teacher from third grade, with words of wisdom meant to help you expand.
Hearing, hearing and listening. So
Listen more.
just pay attention, listen more. Yeah,
Yep.
listen
And
more. Stop and listen.
I got a very
Mhm.
oceany angel who's like Mother Hawaii, but if it's light waves of energy and water, anybody at home can put their hand out, feel the vibe through two screens, catch your favorite ocean that's halfway across the globe. What are you getting
Hmm.
from Min?
I get more of a mountain stream, not a big ocean. That's
That
interesting.
that works.
Uh,
I'll do Matt. Don't call her Mackenzie. Everything plants, animals, and nature.
That one's, yeah, in alignment with the green color.
What are you getting with her?
Connecting, reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with source that is prevalent and abundant in nature.
Back to basics. Okay. And here's Heather. She makes hearts in her photos. She's very earthbound as an angel. And you'll either meet her as an Amazonian goddess or a woman walking out of an Africa village who's very striking. Which way are you getting her?
That's interesting.
African or Amazonian?
Uh, there's some kind, it's African because I see some kind of African imagery in that, even though there's not really any imagery. So that's coming through.
Ooh. And I'll put up another photo of her because she makes hearts in her photos. That's technically a heart. It was above my Japanese torii 2 houses ago in the backyard. Um,
Oh,
here's
okay.
here's her in another photo.
That looks more like a heart than the previous one did.
Yeah, and here's another one. And you can hear her
Where
crystal
was that?
clear. Close your eyes, have her show you the something. It'll be maybe a vision, less words, more, a picture
Hmm.
paints a million words. What'd she give you?
Okay. I got a spaceship. I don't know what that's.
We weren't gonna go there. We did. It's okay. And that's good. Here's Harmony. She's Harmony, but she chose the word tranquility. It's supposed to be rainbow light. It is what it is. It's close. These are real photos I took a long time ago. I used to hand the camera to folks. You can just look out your window and see them standing there or meet them as humans. What is Harmony reminding you of in any which fashion or way?
Well, I mean, what I'm seeing is it looks like the moon in the sky, but it looks almost like this emanating energy coming down from the sky, but at nighttime, um, something different. Huh. I don't know, but it's making me feel like I want to be standing outside at night and picking up whatever I pick up. Because I don't usually stand out under the open sky at night. I'll be like on my back porch, but I don't go, you know, under, but I feel like doing that, looking up at the stars or
Ooh,
something there.
I'm going to do Einstein for you because you are super sharp. And here he is, but he's got a great sense of humor, like yourself. What's Einstein saying as a reminder for us all?
Don't be too serious.
And one or two, one or two more. I'm going to use this one for an angel named Charlie, and I'm completely forgetting. Yeah, we'll do Charlie. That's fine. I forgot some of her details, but that's okay. She'll come in, and I can actually do this both at the same time. Hold on. I'm going to cheat and look it up. I have too many figures by the hundreds, and I always blank out at times.
Where
What's
did that image
Charlie
come
saying?
from?
She's about excitement and she has an eye for fashion. So this angel's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Um, I'm distracted by the fact that she's got her hand next to her ear like she's listening. So I don't know if she's putting her hair back, but I'm getting the listen, like this kind of thing.
Okay.
Listen again. But yeah, I'm not.
I'll do one more, and this will be the tiger on the wall behind me. The India divine tiger, the one the divine mother or Mother Durga rides on. Pure action on everyone's team. And because it's an animal, you can put your hand out into the open part of the room and feel soft shampooed fur. Yep. And anyone at home
Oh,
needs extra
yeah.
help. Yep, breathe extra. He's on or the Divine Tiger's on everyone's team. So just make a little request and trust that you can get more flow for taking some steps in your life. You want to
Hmm.
hear a roar in the jungle around you right now from the highest vibration of India coming into the room. Hear a distant roar, get a friendly reminder that you're not alone. And what else are you getting from the tiger for all of us?
I'm getting like that the thing that's very strong is having this tiger walking beside you all the time and knowing how strong we are and we have this support and we've got like I can literally feel him right here. Like he's there all the time. Um, kind of, being our inner strength.
And this
But
is why I love car commercials because you take out Mercedes or something else and you insert the word life or you, and it becomes a perfect metaphor. It could be a beer commercial too, or Exxon. If you remember, you have a tiger in the tank.
oh yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember that
Put a tiger, I think it was put a tiger in your tank when you fill up
uh, oh right, yeah.
because their
Well,
gas is better than the other person's gas.
that was very, I like that one. It's very strong. That was a good image. Because literally I still feel him right here.
Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. But why don't you leave us with one reminder that no matter how complex things seem in and around you, and then dot, dot, dot. And Leanne, you get to wrap this up for us.
No matter, well, I think that ties in with that simplify message, declutter. So, I mean, everything is basically come back to core self. So when you simplify and declutter, that's when we reconnect to source. And you can do it even when you're surrounded by a state of chaos. I mean, you can reconnect and tune in, practice, do it as often as possible and just little baby steps in practicing because it's literally like a muscle like that you're exercising. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So you can just get that instant connection and know what you need to do in any moment.
Hmm. Leanne Venier, I want you to come back this summer, if you would, to do this APL Spotlight thing again. I know we've got a taping end of 2024 for 2025 for 2026.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for being on today, and thank you for the animal cameos.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. I really enjoyed it. And here's Tabitha saying goodbye. Tabitha means gazelle in Aramaic.
Ooh,
So she's a runner.
I love it.
Okay.
Thank you again, Leanne.
Thank you. Whoops. She's like,